Good morning, welcome back to my garden. Today we're just going to do a little stroll through the garden to see what it's doing this fall. We're not going to look at identifying each individual plant. We've done that in past garden tours, but I was just going to come out this morning, on my own just to walk through and see what was going on. So I thought, well, I just might as well film it. So this is a very authentic look at the garden because I haven't come out to prep it for sharing with you guys or anything like that. So it's we're just going to mostly look at what is blooming, what's doing well, what's just kind of how the garden has come together over the spring and summer into fall and as it's getting ready to go to sleep. So I'm just going to turn you around and we're starting right up here on the driveway. I'm trying to start before the sun came through the trees, but we'll see how we can do. So we're going to start right up here on the driveway garden bed. The baskets, the window boxes are still looking very sweet, and down here these are the little haughty hydrangeas. I have these elsewhere now in my garden too that I planted in, and I'm happy to see that these ones did not burn. They're looking really sweet and they're starting to get some of their fall color on those. This rose is almost coming into bloom again, and here is one of my most favorite things. It's a surprise I think every year for me that this mum has come back year after year and continues to bloom beautifully and happens to coordinate also with the pansies that I put in there. This rose up here is one that, see if I can get you up there to see. It's pretty tall. I don't know the name of it. It was one from my Grandma Mary, and it's bloomed all season long, just super, super beautiful. I love the color on it right there. It's pretty tall, very old. It's probably at least 40 years old, and I love it. So we'll go down this way along the driveway. This area right here really takes on quite a fall vibe, I think, with the grass and just the spilling out of the nepeta right here. This Chinese fringe flower is finally kind of doing its thing. It's actually blooming right now. It's just a small variety, I guess. I don't really remember what the variety is, but this creeping thyme is still blooming. It's pretty amazing. You can maybe remember when I planted in this little hottie right here. It was really suffering, and so I cut it back and it's pushed all sorts of new growth. So that guy's going to be just fine. You can just see this vignette here, especially the barberries. They are beautiful red, reddish purple all year, but they really take on a gorgeous fall color. They get super vibrant with their sweet little berries, which I love. They're not invasive here. I know they are in other places in the country, so no worries there for us. And then this is, I believe, a Shenandoah grass. It has some variety in there also of the red that I love how it combines with the barberries. These heuchera I cut back mid-season and they came back really nicely. If you guys see something that you're curious about, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to do my best to identify it for you, since we're not necessarily looking at all the individual plants. But here you can see why I love to plant sedum. Even though these are bloomed out, these aren't the flowers, they're already done. They still just add a really nice color. Oh, I just noticed too that my viburnum has berries on it. It's exciting. This hydrangea up here didn't bloom this year. I'm not really sure why. It's supposed to bloom on new wood. So I'd pruned it and it didn't bloom. So I may just leave that one, for next year, not prune it and see if in fact it is supposed to just bloom on old wood. Here's this, was my first no-dig, well, actually my second no-dig bed. You can see that the butterfly bushes are pretty much out of bloom. I could have cut these back halfway through the season probably and they would have reflushed out, but I didn't do that. Still have some diamond frost down there that's blooming well. This 9-bark is sure taking on a very beautiful fall color. Just rich and kind of, that deep, deep red. And here's some more barberries. These ones are the rose glow. These diamond frost are just amazing. They have been blooming all season long. I've hardly watered them, and they've just been covered in their little sweet blooms. So those are definitely one that I will be repeating. These Dusty Miller took really well into this spot. I don't know if you remember me telling you that spot has, it's only a couple inches down of good soil, and then it hits some concrete, unfortunately, from when they installed this transformer, and they took really well. This instant karma elderberry, it's, I don't know, easily 10 feet tall, has some berries on there. There's usually birds in it, but they must have seen me coming and flew out, but the birds take care of those berries and eat them up. Let's see over here, this container is doing pretty well. The grass is kind of taken on a little bit of a brown hue, but the seed heads are still pretty, and the serviceberry has lost most of its leaves at this point. Okay, we're going to swing this way, come down here. This front bed is looking pretty good. You can see, though, unfortunately, there was a lot of deer pressure on this rose here. They took off all of the buds and all of the leaves off of that. This, though, my goodness, so pretty. I just planted this at the beginning of the season. It's Purple Haze, I believe, is the name of this buddleia. It's a sterile variety. We can't grow here in Oregon any of the non-sterile varieties. But I just love what this one is doing, like just cascading over the rock wall. It's exactly what I was hoping it would do. And you can see some of the spirea are starting to take on their pretty fall color. This bed over here really filled in over the season. This is a Mini Vista Indigo, and it just has been blooming its little head off. It looks like it's finally kind of taken the time to maybe almost start to go to sleep. This Verbena has gotten huge too, kind of overtaken the front of this bed. It won't be long till I totally cut these back. I'll probably leave them in the garden though, because they could possibly be perennials for me. So we'll see. Still have some blooms on the hollyhock. The deer came in and cleaned up these roses for me here as well, and also took off, they took off a lot of this vine maple here. The Eryngium is still blooming beautifully. This area is just still has some color. These little microchip blue buddleia have just really been performing well. There's still new buds on those. I've hardly even pruned those, so that's exciting to see how well those have done. These are just little starts that I dug up from the backyard and put those in here. Remember when I cut these tough stuff hydrangeas back? Those have fleshed out really nicely. Look at the beautiful fall color on this hydrangea. Fortunately, the deer have left that one alone, because they have definitely not left these hydrangeas alone. I didn't know that until I just am looking at it right now. So we can definitely see what the deer like and what they don't like. You can see those sweet berries on this barberry, and looks like they may have done some pruning also on this Aphrodite sweet shrub. More of the diamond frost euphorbia still doing well. These ones I just keep seeing from the inside of my house. They are just blooming and blooming, and I really want to get back to the garden center and get some more of those. Those are a variety of penstemon. I don't recall the name exactly of them, but I should definitely find out, because they're doing really well. So we've looked at this bed a lot as we've been planting it up, this new no-dig bed, so I won't walk through that too much, except for you can see here that the dogs have been tearing through, hopefully after deer, to scare them out. But I did continue on this path and finish this out, which was not done the last time we were in here. Just kind of come up this way. It's a pretty view right through here of these different fall colors. Again, this is a spirea that's taking on its color. I did just mulch through here, so it looks nice and rich with that dark mulch. There's a yarrow. You can see the work that I need to do, come in and cut back some of these pincushion flowers for sure. And I really wanted to get out and show you guys before they're totally done, these beautiful asters. You can see how immensely covered they were not too long ago. Still have some color, and this area up here in the front I think has the color because I did the Chelsea chop on them. So I cut part of them back halfway, like halfway through the season, right around July. So they had kind of a staggered bloom time. That was nice. So this area up here is looking pretty good. I try to, plant things that still will have interest all throughout this season. So you can see that euphorbia in there. This one I moved forward when I planted in this little lime hydrangea. So it has a little bit of a different tone to it. May have shocked just a little bit, but it's doing okay. It's a little holly shrub. This is a golden euonymus. Here's another holly. This one has this is actually the same golden euonymus that I have in the back garden, which I just worked on recently, and you can see what the color is different when it gets actual, enough sun. So this area under here, the dogs like to be under here, so I don't do too much to tend it, but I did just plant in this Leucothoe. It's a rainbow variety. I planted that in earlier this spring, and it's put on a lot of new growth, so that's fun. Planted in that allium. Oh, the dogs are just chasing all the birds. they're just running around the garden. So anyways, this spirea is a magic carpet. I pruned that one hard, and it came back really nicely. So that's always encouraging to see. My eye in this bed just goes right to the blooms on the sedum, of course, and then this lamb's ear that's in the front. Anything that starts to have a little bit of sweet color. This was interesting to me because I thought this was going to be a white blooming rose of Sharon, but it is kind of a purpley pink. You can see this is one of the double play doozies, the spirea, and that's just such an electrifying color that it has on it in the fall. You can just see right up here, this is an autumn blaze, and it was glorious. It was glorious. It was so beautiful. Unfortunately, most of its leaves have fallen by now, but it was super pretty. We'll just come this way, I think, across the front lawn. Not really sure exactly why some of the lamb's ear does this. That does not look good. Really need to prune that one compared to the ones behind me that are still beautiful. This is an area that I'm going to have to, I think transplant out. I don't know. It's just really full. I keep thinking that I'm going to move the butterfly bushes out, maybe into the garden bed in the front, but I'm not really sure. Also don't know if that boxwood is still alive. Hopefully. Here is some of the sparkling amethyst superbena that really did well here. I didn't hardly ever give it any attention, and it just performed well. So hydrangea in there. I don't love the seed heads on the summer alliums, but I just generally just leave them. So scanning this way, you can see these bobo hydrangeas. Some of them got kind of burnt, but they also still have the fall color that's coming through, this pretty mauvey pink color. And then the mini Vista whites. You guys, these are definitely one I'm going to replant. I wish I could plant them everywhere, but I know inevitably I would probably get budworms like crazy, so I'm not going to do that, but I am going to repeat probably in this spot and then over in this spot as well, because they did not need a lot at all from me. I didn't fertilize them. I didn't ever have to spray them for budworms, and they've been so great. So here's my Vitex. It's it's very large, but it's so pretty. Even after the blooms are faded, I mean, these look like berries, but they're not. They're just what was holding on the flowers. But it is definitely too big for this spot because there's a bunch of stuff underneath there. But still, this is the one that I'm intending on transplanting down into the new garden bed down in the new no dig garden bed. But yeah, it's beautiful for right now. This is the flip side variety because if you flip over the leaves, they're purple, which I love. So over here, just another done butterfly bush, some more annuals. This guy took a minute to start performing, but it sure is sweet and one that I hope actually will come back. It's an annual, but it may, I mean, it's listed as an annual, but it may actually come back for me. This serviceberry is starting to take on its fall color. It's just super pretty. Some more heuchera. These ones, I wish I knew the variety of these because these are ones that actually do really well all season long that I don't usually have to prune back. Another spirea with its gorgeous fall color. Why more people don't plant these, I don't know, but I sure love mine. Scan this way. This is one of the garden beds that I love all the textures in. I just think it's so interesting between the Ito peony and then the small texture of the leaves on the boxwoods. Up here we have a crabapple. You can see it starting to show its little crabs on there. It's doing really pretty well despite having lost its top. That was unfortunate. These beds up here are ones that I've told you several times that I'm hoping to kind of revamp, but not thinking about it too much right now. These sand cherries I think will come out. These containers with the little mini Vista Whites are doing well still, thankfully, since I already lost some of the lemon cypress in there earlier this season. More barberries that are bringing on their fall color. Ooh, a daylily that's trying to bloom. I cut this one all the way back because it was looking real shaggy, and it's pushed all that new growth and is trying to bloom again, so that's exciting. There's my monstrosity of a rose, climbing rose. We'll go that way in a second. You guys were with me when I pruned this shrub. This is a snow mound spirea, and that's putting on a little bit new growth and maintaining that ball shape. So over here, you can see this is kind of why I need to work in here. This area is just not doing great. I'd love to kind of just, I don't know, repurpose a lot of the things, but kind of just change up the design. There's some deutzia in there that were cut back hard. There's a dead viburnum. And this rambling rose that we pruned hard, and now it's doing this still. It wants to ramble, and yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that, but let's look at that full color, more of the barberries. So we have some of the knockout roses that are still doing their thing, blooming and blooming. Just turned around, and this is a pretty vantage point of this sedum, and the grass is right here too, and the beautiful sunshine ligustrum. This is another one of the, I don't know if it's double play doozy spirea, but it's got some flowers on it. That's fun. Just very fall looking through this direction. Okay, we're gonna come this way along the path. Let's see, these are more heuchera that I cut back hard, and they have all their new growth on them, looking really sweet and very healthy. I got these as just little bitty, like 4-inch containers when I originally planted those in, and they've done well. So here's what Dusty Miller does in my garden. I usually prune off the flowers because I don't know, I'm not really needing that bright red yellow in the garden right here, but anyway, they're pretty happy. This is their second year in the garden. This is a honeysuckle. This is the Proven Winners one. It was covered in beautiful berries. It's new growth coming out on it. Not really sure. I'll be observing to see what that one does. But yeah, more fall color on the spirea. You can see on this crab apple that it has little yellow crabs, and it's taken a while to do this. This has been in this garden for quite a while, and I've never noticed this many crabs on that. So that's exciting. You have some more heuchera in the front here. I think these ones are the Forever Purple, and I just planted in some of these. These are a different variety, and I did just get a few more Forever Purple. So I think I'm going to move out the different ones and just line this whole thing with the Forever Purple. So this area is going to need some attention. This will be a good thing for me to have this video of, so I can reference back to see what I need to do. Like, I think that this sedum right here doesn't get enough light, so it really splays. So I'll probably be cutting off the tops of those, transplanting those, and then also transplanting the actual root ball of that one. So these little guys, this one's doing okay. This one got broken by the dogs. There's a couple more of them dotted through the front. So yeah, I'm not really sure. We'll see what comes of this bed, but it's end of the season, so you know, what do you do? This little Miss Kim lilac's not doing great. I'm not sure if this is just because of its being fall or if it's actually dead. No, there's green still in the stems, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, but that's not looking great. This maple tree, though, is super pretty. Usually it burns so badly in the summer, but we had a little bit more of a mild summer, so I just love this tree. This came to me as a little bitty seedling from my parents' garden where I grew up. They no longer live there, so it's pretty special to have it here in my garden, and it's quite large now and looking beautiful, taking on that red hue on this one. It's red actually all season, which is interesting because there's so much green on it right now. I don't know, maybe it's kind of confused, but anyway, this is a spot also. I have a couple spots that I'm thinking for next year that I'm going to be working on, and this is one of them. It's gotten just, you know, to be totally a shade garden because of this tree, and I have some things in here that want a little bit more sun. So I think I need to build up the retaining wall along the side and bring in a little bit more soil. I don't want to bring in too much because I don't want to cover the root ball or the roots too much of this maple tree, so I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, I could do some work in there for sure. So coming over this way, kind of already gave you a backed up peek of this bed with the Autumn Blaze maple here, but oh, not sure what happened there. That's where that's supposed to be. But look at that color in the inside of that barberry. It is so vibrant, so beautiful. Okay, so back over here on this side, here we had a burning bush that you can see why it's called a burning bush. I mean, it's pretty chill all year, all season, just a green, you know, green accent, which I appreciate in the garden, but this is obviously the time when it shines. Surrounded by some more, these are the Concord barberries. Very fall out here right now as I'm hearing some geese that are, I'm guessing, starting to fly south. You can see the beautiful carpet that comes from these two trees, the shrub and the tree, as they lose all of their leaves. I should probably come out and blow these before they become just a kind of a gooey mess on the ground. But anyway, over here around the garden shed, this is a camellia that I got earlier on, and it's done really well, even though it's just in a container. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it for good, but it has some buds on it. So I'm excited to see what this guy does. I'll put the name of it up on the screen because I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Garden shed needs some cleaning. It's a little bit of a mess in there, but that's for a rainy day. Panning over here into the backyard now. This is where I moved the Sun King Aurelia that was in the back patio garden. I think I might actually plant it in here. I think I'm going to take out that, there's a peony right there that just doesn't get enough sun. And the Sun King Aurelia doesn't need a lot of sun, so that would just be perfect, I think, tucked back right in there. And I do have another one I got on our recent trip out to Al's that was 50% off, so I'm not sure. I might plant both of those right in here. I think that would be really pretty because this area is fairly shaded. Let's see what this is. A Montana clematis montana, whatever. It's really climbing up into this privet, and I think I really need to hack at that. Oh, cute. Let's see what one of my boys did. It's a little Playmobil owl perched on there. That's pretty sweet. Anyway, I think I should probably hack that out of there before it does damage to the privet. I don't know much about that, but I imagine that's probably not the best idea. So this euonymus I also planted in earlier this spring, and I'm happy with how it's done. It just hasn't needed much from me, which is always good. So back here you can see more of the sedum doing its thing. This area back here really has autumn vibes in the color, but also in the plants looking pretty tired. So other than this burning bush, which, my gosh, it's just so vibrant. Let's walk along here in this bed where this spirea showing its beautiful color. These are bobo hydrangeas that also didn't bloom. Not sure really what's going on there. This is another flipside vitex. Clearly I need to find a different spot for that because that is going to be way too big for that spot. So yeah, some of these annuals are done that we planted in here with this vitex tree. Scrolling around, the coleus didn't put on much size. I don't know if you remember when we planted those in, but I wasn't really expecting them to because it was already getting to be kind of cold at that time. But just kind of look this way. Let's look at what else is looking good still. This is Mystic Spire's salvia, and I think, yeah, this one back here is looking really pretty still. Look at that color. The leaves are looking amazing. This is supposed to be an annual, so we'll see if it is in fact an annual for me. And then these are the Glow Girl spirea. This is a birch spirea, and the color on these now, you know, it's interesting because the color is actually indicating that the plant is ready to go to sleep, ready to lose all of its leaves. But fortunately, it's a very pretty color as it does that. So, oh, that's great. Dog's digging a hole in the pathway. Here's some more mums that I planted in several years ago that have continued to come back. I just love that color. Super, super pretty. So even though this garden is looking tired, the colors are still there, and it's trying. This little guy is still blooming a little bit. Yeah, this little salvia that I planted in earlier in the season is continuing to bloom, which is fun to see. I'm always excited to see after the first year of planting something when it continues to do well. This bed back here, not too impressive, but not terrible either. These crab apples, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They're so ugly, but they're big, and I don't really know. Yeah, they're really ugly. I don't know if any of you have any advice for me. Should I just prune them back hard? I don't know. Should I just pull them out? That's hard for me to do. I don't have, you know, endless supplies of plants coming in and trees and all that, and so it's hard for me to do that. But they're, you know, I also believe, you know, if we don't really like something in our gardens, we shouldn't keep it. So I would love to rehab them if possible. But anyway, this is a Leyland cypress that's been in this pot for a while. It just kind of stunts its growth, you know, when it's in a container. So I don't know how big that'll ever, you know, end up getting, but I like the structure of it there and the evergreen aspect of it. Just pan this way. Sun's starting to peek through. It's a pretty sweet little aster that's blooming back here. This is definitely a time of the year where the garden is prettier viewed from a distance. When you get too close, it's not the best, but that's okay. We'll focus on the beauty of the spirea color. This is, I believe this is a gold flame. Super pretty color on that one. So yeah, not too much to look at over here on this one, on this garden. More of a lot of the same, you know, a lot of the same stuff that looks fallish in the other beds is looking pretty fallish in this one as well. I just love these dark purple sedums. They do a lot for the garden. Here's a dogwood that has obviously the really pretty red branches. Looks nice next to the barberry that, gosh, they're just so bright. They're just so bright. And this guy I planted into this container. This is a magnolia stellata, I think is what they're called. And it's done pretty well. I didn't scorch or lose a lot of leaves, so that was good for its first year for sure. Here is a Seven Suns flower tree. It's taking on its fall color, but then you can also see the little pink, I think they're the calyxes, you know, these are what hold the flowers. It's not actually the flower. So it just kind of continues on to be an interesting tree. This is just its second year in my garden, and it's doing pretty well. It put on quite a bit of new growth and is a nice size for the back here. I think I still am thinking that I might prune off these lower branches just to lift it up a little bit, but you can see this really pretty bark that this guy has. It came to me as a tree. I didn't prune it into a tree, but I know that's, you know, something a lot of people do is they get the shrub and then they prune it into usually a multi-trunked tree. But this one came to me as a tree, and I've enjoyed having it back here in the garden. This way, more leaves that are turning. On this viburnum here, I'm not sure, maybe just, you know, under a little bit of stress because part of it has drastically changed and other areas haven't quite yet, so it's not sure exactly what's going on there, but it's been in the garden for like, I don't know, 17 years, so it's probably just fine. But anyway, and then this maple tree here is starting to turn its color as well, and this is another one that often scorches in the summer, but it didn't this year. It put on so much growth, and it has some of its pretty color on the top as well. So this little bed here is one that's just kind of a lot of sedum and stuff, so not too interesting this time of the year other than the color on the spirea. And then scrolling this way too, it's another barberry. Coming up this way, we did just take out a big maple tree that seeded itself right here behind the white fence. So this bed will be interesting. It'll get a lot more sun next year, so it'll be interesting to see what it does. But there's another little aster back here. This is a Weigela. I wanted to come back here. This variegated honeysuckle's doing well, and then here's a little beautyberry that's starting to show its purple berries. And this one I cut back really hard, and it came back, you know, pretty nicely. Pretty nice for not getting a ton of attention back here. But this is really pretty tonal, you know, coloration in its leaves too. I don't know if this is necessarily just what's happening in the fall, but I love that purple veining. It complements the little purple flowers really well. Little pansies are looking sweet in the boxwood boxes. And then back here, the back patio still looking pretty clean, minus the ladder that's there, but this area right here, this dogwood, is gonna start really turning soon. Not sure what happened with the Brennera down here. I think it had some sort of a bug that was damaging its leaves. But again, if we don't look too close, it actually looks pretty back here. This is an endless summer hydrangea that we planted in earlier on, and those are sweet buds. This heuchera has done incredibly well. It's in just a container because I didn't know where I was going to put it, and I've been really happy with that one. So I will have to try to figure out what that is. So it's a hellebore right there, and some annuals. They're still pushing a little bit of color. This is a sweet box back here that looks like it has some flowers that are thinking of starting to bloom, although it shouldn't bloom until winter, end of winter, and it smells amazing. There's another shrub we planted in this spring. There's this one too. No, not sure if it's flowering or what exactly those are, but I've been really happy with how this one has done in this space, and it's one I probably, if I needed to take anything else out back here in this garden, I would like to plant more of those in. Look at you two dirty doggies. What have you been doing? What have you been doing? Right here is a view that I don't feel like I show very often, but it's one that I do see a lot because this is right by where we park, and I really love it. I love how this conocloa kind of curves over these beautiful heuchera, and I'm not really sure what it is about this spot, but it doesn't really ever look stressed. I do need to get this hydrangea in the ground. I think I'm just going to plant it right where it's at. I had it in a container for a while to make sure that I liked the spot, but I think it would benefit from being in the ground. But anyway, I just love this little vista with a little retaining wall that's, covered in moss. And this is a Daphne, variegated Daphne. It blooms beautifully in late winter. You can see through to a bit of the aster and the weigela. Kind of a scraggly clematis that I need to cut back, but in general, gosh, I just really like this spot, and thankfully, because like I said, it's one that I see all the time. It's what I see when I first drive up when I get home, and it looks especially pretty right now, I think, in the fall. Okay, so this area over here in this raised bed, I cut back all of the sunflower maximum, I think is what they're called, and we're just left with some of the annuals. These kufias have started to push more blooms, which is fun. It's pretty sparse over here, but that's okay. Little herb gardens are doing well. Harvested off of those quite a bit. This is a scovola, whirlwind white, and that's done really well. I mean, always considering how much attention that I give to my annuals. No, I'm not I don't fertilize a bunch. I don't water a bunch, so it's always impressive to me when annuals or any plant really performs well, because that just is a testament to how awesome the plant is, because it survives me as its gardener. So similar with this petunia, supertunia, it's doing well. This was actually one I planted in last year, and it came back up. This dahlia was just stunning. I just deadheaded it, but it was just all of these spots where you can see that I cut it had flowers. It was absolutely just remarkable. So that one I'm just going to leave in this container, in this horse trough, and see what it does next year. It was amazing. Okay, this no dig bed I think is where we will end. I don't think much is going on here other than the mess that the chickens keep making. They keep getting out and they paw around in this garden, and you can see what they're doing on this side of it. If you remember when we put it in, the edge is supposed to be kind of just like right up here, and they've just decimated this side of it, which is unfortunate. We need to clip some wings of our chickens so they stay in, but This viburnum is looking great. It has the sweet buds on it. Still a little bit of color on this Veronica. No fall color on this butterscotch spirea, so that's interesting. But these echinacea that we planted in, this is the apricot, Fresno apricot, I think, still putting on blooms. They're so pretty, so pretty. So yeah, and this hydrangea is starting to get some color on it as well. This is the bridal veil, I think is what that one's called. And another diamond frost euphorbia. It's an amazing annual if you like that light kind of airy texture. And then we have this October glory maple, which surprisingly hasn't, I see one little leaf up there that's starting to show its fall color, but this is just going to be so stunning. So hopefully I'll get some footage of that once it starts to turn. This is its 3rd year in the ground, so you know, starting to get established, and I'm just really excited to see what this one does here, because I think it's going to be stunning. All right, well, I'll just kind of scroll this way. This is a pulled back look of our driveway garden, and Charlie. Yeah, looking very, very full still, very fall, I think, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it's looking right now. I don't feel like much looks too tired. I think it's just kind of taken its natural course. We didn't have a very harsh summer at all, and we've had a very mild, lovely fall so far. So everything has just kind of been given its best chance, I think, you know, to perform and to do what it's actually naturally supposed to do, if that makes sense. You know, sometimes the weather just really takes its toll on the plants and they can't quite perform. They just are, you know, survival mode for their precious root systems. But I feel like the weather that we've had, summer that we had, all that has really lent itself to a really nice garden season. And here's a little view up towards the front deck. I realized I didn't show this angle of the hanging baskets, and you can see a bit of the pumpkins and, you know, the baskets that are, or the containers that are towards the front of the front deck. So this is a sweet view of the front. Come up through here. You can just kind of peek up at the front porch. So we're back to where we started here in the front garden. So I hope you enjoyed this look at how things are doing in the garden. It's late October at this point. So I'm thankful for the documentation that we have from the garden tours that we've done, so that I can look back at them from, I guess it was early June, mid-June that we did our first one, and now here towards the end of October, just to observe and see how the garden has changed throughout the months, and how it's grown, how it's changed. It's just, you know, it's one of the best parts of gardening, you know, watching the changes and the progression in the garden. So anyway, thanks for walking around in the garden with me today, and I hope you are enjoying your fall, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.